It's been a while since we had a Toyota. Well, that changes today. We're gonna do some catching up, and we're starting with our full review of the Toyota Wigo. Hey everyone, Vince here from AutoIndustriya.com, and we're back again with one of our reviews, this time with the Toyota Wigo 1.0G CVT. Now, while some people think that we enjoy reviewing sports cars, supercars, and big SUVs, let me tell you now that I place a lot more weight when it comes to reviewing small, affordable cars. And that's because this is vital for pretty much all of us. I mean, I can afford this car easily. Contrary to popular belief, I don't make that much here in my job. It was 10 years ago, a little bit more now, that we first broke the news about the Toyota Wigo coming into the Philippines. Actually, I was the one who wrote that story 10 years ago, so I've been doing this for quite a while. But the Toyota Wigo over in Indonesia is known as actually two names. One is the Toyota Agya, the other one is the Daihatsu Ayla, at least in the previous generation. And that's because this is the product of the partnership or ownership of Daihatsu by Toyota. So they produce different versions depending on which brand is going to be marketing it. And in the Philippines, we don't have Daihatsu anymore. That's why it's Toyota that's badging this as the Wigo. Now, it has proved to be a very popular car in the Philippine market. And why wouldn't be? It's meant to be very, very affordable and competes against the likes of the Mirage when they first launched it here. And of course, they won't admit it, but they really wanted to take on a lot of the early Chinese automakers that were coming into the Philippines with very affordable hatchbacks. That's why the Wigo back then was priced at around, I think, 400,000 pesos. You're not gonna get this for that kind of money anymore though. So this second generation Toyota Wigo is clearly bigger in a lot of respects. It's longer and it's wider, and that should lead to more room and space inside. But the styling has also improved in a lot of ways. They've got the new family look going on. Of course, it's still very much snub-nosed with the way they do the front end, but in terms of styling, it's still very much up to date with the way they do this body. It even has LED headlights in this variant and LED fog lights down there. The wheels, these are 14-inch wheels by 5 inches in terms of the size. It does look a bit small, but again, it is a small car. You can always upgrade it to a bigger size depending on your preference. But what's really important, yes, is that it is wider, it looks better, and it's got quite a few more things going on inside, particularly with the back. Just by looking at it alone, you can tell that the Wigo is wider and better styled than before. Now, one of the big improvements here, apart from the look and the width, and of course the new badging and all of that, is the fact that you no longer need a key to open the back. You just have to press the button right here. It releases, at least for this version of the Wigo anyway. Now, in terms of cargo space, that is where the big improvement is in this vehicle, because the width over here is about 39 inches. The depth going that way is around 22. And really the height, if without factoring in the parcel shelf, by the way, it's pretty hard, is about 33.5 up to here, which is pretty good, again, for a vehicle of this size. Mind you though, the parcel shelf, it does tend to rattle a bit when we're driving around, so keep that in mind. And by the way, the cargo space is extendable up to 43 inches. So in terms of cargo space, this is actually really good. Now let's check out what's under the hood. At the heart of the Toyota Wigo is a 1-liter 3-cylinder engine with a CVT. Now, the 1-liter, it doesn't really sound groundbreaking, and it isn't. It makes 67 PS, which is, for a vehicle this size, should be just fine. What really matters, though, is the new transmission, because the predecessor model had a 4-speed automatic, and when you compare the driving characteristics of a 4-speed versus this new CVT, it's very much improved. But one thing that you really can't improve in a 3-cylinder engine is this. Fire it up. The vibration, especially at idle. That is just a natural thing when it comes to these three-cylinder engines. They are going to shake quite a bit more. So keep that in mind. You'll feel it definitely when you compare a three-cylinder to a four-cylinder engine. Cut that out, right? So that's something to be expected with these vehicles, particularly in the economy class. You are going to feel more vibration, especially in a three-cylinder. Now onto the structure. This one does use the new DNGA platform. D meaning Daihatsu. And that is something to keep in mind with these vehicles, particularly also with the Rays, with the Avanza. All of those vehicles use the DNGA platform. Even the upcoming Toyota Vios, at least not the one we're getting now, is not the DNGA yet, but the next one will probably be. Now, why does that factor in? Well, the reason is when you look around the vehicle, when you look around the engine bay, you can see that they've tried to economize it as much as possible. You look at how they do the welds, you look at how they do the actual painting. It's not even fully painted. All this is overspray. If you did model kits as a kid, you'll know what overspray means when you do these kind of things. And you can see that with the vehicle when you pop the hood. But the one that's really giving the Toyota quite a few headaches lately is when it comes to the welding of the structure of the DNGA platform. Now, the DNGA platform is touted to be better than the previous ones, particularly with the underside, the way they do the force control, like this, how they control the rigidity of the vehicle, how they improve it. But there are some things that, even when you look around, it has given Toyota some issues in the past, like with the Rays, with the suspension towers over there. That's something to keep in mind. But they've already addressed some of those issues and are still addressing some issues. But in this one, well, there seems to be no problem, so all well and good. Anyways, let's go check out what's inside to see what the Wigo offers you. Normally, there aren't much things to discuss about the rear seat of any economy car, at least at first glance. Now this one, the seats are improved. I mean, the cushioning is better. The safety is better because each one of the three occupants here would have three-point seat belts. I mean, even the guy in the middle. Of course, I wouldn't really try to fit three people here depending on the size of the people. I mean, with me here, maybe one more person, that's about it. But if you have three thin friends, they can sit here no problem. If you want to fit a child seat, you can do it right here with the ISOFIX anchors there. But the comfort is good, the visibility is good, the windows are actually nice and big. You do get power windows in this one, but no longer the Powys windows we used to get in some of the other versions of the predecessor of this. But some of the things here that it gives you the feeling of space. I mean, that's surprising for an economy car. And the reason is some of the considerations that Toyota had when it comes to engineering the vehicle. Like, for one, you look at the way the front seats are, at least from the back. It's scalloped over here to give you a bit more, knee room. Not that I would need any knee room. They also position the seat high up. You can look by it down there. It's like it's on stilts, so it's a bit elevated. Gives you more space for your feet down there. By the way, I think the jack is underneath over there, so that's all well good. It's nice and tucked away. They even scalloped the center, this part here, to be able to give you more toe room, which is actually quite interesting. I haven't seen that kind of scalloping before. Maybe some of the other Toyota models, I just haven't really noticed it. So first impressions, it's better because the seat better than before. Definitely the cushioning is better. The headrest, I appreciate that very much. It's also wider in here because there's more space between the front passengers, which is a good thing. Your drive selector is right here. It's PRND SB second, and then engine braking, unless you want to mean Starbucks. That's all well and good. It is a bit notchy when you pull it back. It's like reverse, then drive. Yeah, definitely doesn't feel like some of the other like higher end models in the Toyota lineup, but that is to be expected. But the dashboard design, that is something that I actually like in this one. Even when you compare it to the Rays, which is a more expensive vehicle than this one, because clearly some of the things they learned with the Rays, they've already improved on with this vehicle already. The plastics, the molding seem to be a lot better than the one in the Rays, particularly in this area. But still, quite plasticky, even though it does look good. That is to be expected. Anyway, even when you look at the sun visors of this one, this is like, it's quite thin. And also you've got the seam marks over there, which is not really well cut. The mirror here, you do get one here, but not on this side. And speaking of mirrors, one gripe that I have right now is this rear view mirror here. There, you can see Barney. Because it's like I got double vision with this one. It just really doesn't work well for me. I don't know, maybe on you, but still, you can probably get an aftermarket mirror for that one to make it a lot better. It does have day and night mode, but still, I would rather put a better mirror right on top. Up here, you do have the Toyota DVR right there, and you can put an SD card there somewhere to be able to record your drive, which is cool, and that's something you find in this variant of the Wigo. Steering wheel right here, perfectly round. It's urethane. It's a bit plain compared to some of the other Toyota models we've seen, but to be expected. Audio controls on the left side with the voice command right here. There is no cruise control in this variant. No variant of the Wigo has cruise control. Right behind it, you have the stalks for the illumination, for the lights, which better than the previous model. Same with the wipers, better than the previous model as well. It's not like the one you would find on some of the older Tamaraos, which you would find in the previous generation Wigo. And then you look at the instrument cluster, also much better. Big speedometer in the middle. It goes up to 220. I don't think we'll reach 220 in the Wigo, but still, it's there. You do have the tachometer on the left side and a trip computer with the fuel economy right there. Right now, well, we're idling, we're doing our video shoot, so the fuel economy seems a bit low, but still, later when we're driving, we'll tell you what the economy is. So here to the right, we do have the glove compartment with the manual and, shades. I wonder whose shades are these? This one, I know whose shades these are. These belong to Marcus. And these are his classic Ray-Bans that I think he's going to wear later. Looks good on me? No? Definitely not. But down here, you do have two cup holders. You have a tray which fits your phone, and it's right next to a 12-volt outlet, which is a good thing. Up here, you do have your ignition button right there. So it's not the key. This is a keyless one. Some of the other versions have the key version. And then you have this digital AC. It's not a climate control, it's just a digital AC. So, you can control the fan speed and all that, which for me works just fine. And by the way, the aircon on this one is really good. Like even with no tint and, the really hot sun, no problem right there. The infotainment is right here, or at least multimedia system. And it has your usual things, radio, Bluetooth, and all that. But the one we like the most is, of course, Android Auto. And for that, I'm going to use the longest USB-C cable known to man, or at least to us reviewers. I mean, come on, Marcos. Why so long? Anyways, when you plug that in over here, we'll show you our Android Auto. And when you plug that in, it should activate. And there you go. Welcome to Waze and all that. So it's all pretty good. So the pinch and zoom of this one takes a bit of getting used to. It is a bit slow. And also the resolution is not really fantastic, but that's to be expected out of this vehicle anyway. The sound quality, not great, but again, very, very functional. That's, pretty much what you expect. So, enough of that. Let's go drive. But first, I need to change the cable to something a little bit better. Okay, so here we go, back inside the Toyota Wigo. Now, I did spend considerable time in the previous generation model, and let me tell you now that this one is a huge improvement. I mean, the previous one didn't really set a high bar for NVH or a lot of the things we like in cars, but this one, it does level it up in almost every way, actually every way. Because space, like I said, space is good. You do sit a bit upright, just like the previous one, but the width is definitely much appreciated in this one. And then the actual, visibility is also really good. Feels wider, feels airier. Features are better. Features are more about the same, but they look better. They feel better built. The dashboard definitely looks better. But it's in the NVH that I think the improvement is most, significant. Because in this one, you do hear a bit more of the noise compared to other cars. But compared to the predecessor, this is leagues ahead. And then the vibration from the engine bay and from everything else, it's also a lot better. And the CVT is also really working well to keep the engine noise down. It's not revving as high, so you can be a bit more efficient with it. And the ride, you can clearly tell that this is made for like Southeast Asian roads, like not that high quality, lots of, pock marks and yeah, potholes and stuff all around. It deals with it very, very well. Actually, one thing I noticed is that even though the wheelbase is still pretty short, it actually drives much better than what I would have expected, and that is a good thing, especially when compared to some of its competitors in the same class and the same price range. My first time driving one of these, I was averaging well over 12 kilometers per liter, but mind you, that was over the actual holiday, so everyone was out of Metro Manila, and it was like nice to drive a Wigo around or any car around. But now that there's a lot more traffic, you do get a little bit less fuel economy. I mean, if you would consider, 11 kilometers per liter, less. I mean, that's actually really good fuel economy. So given the price of fuel right now, it's actually really good. And even when you're on the highway as well, it's also really good as well. Another good thing about the Wigo is the throttle response. Like you step on it, it actually responds quite well, especially when you're in stop and go traffic. And the response of the transmission and the engine is something that actually surprised me. It feels like a little bit bigger of an engine with the response and the way it, how quickly the vehicle actually gets going from a standstill to around maybe 40, 50, which is typical city speeds. By a big margin, the thing I like the most about the Wigo is that you don't feel as vulnerable inside. The previous generation, you drive it around, you drive it on the highway in particular, and a truck, like zips by you, you really feel it. This one, not so much. It's a lot better, it's a lot more stable. You feel a bit more secure. And that is, of course, very important in a vehicle. Like, you want to feel protected, you want to feel secure. It does have quite a few safety features, all things considered. It's got stability control, which is something I did not expect this vehicle to have. But you do feel a bit of the Daihatsu-ness in the vehicle, and that's something important because, again, this is a product of basically the Toyota group, which is Daihatsu in particular. Because over in Indonesia, this is known as the Agya, or at least a version of this is known as the Agya, Ayla, all that stuff, and that's something to factor in because Daihatsu, they build their cars to a different yardstick than Toyota. And you do feel it here. If you're jumping into the Wigo from, let's say, a Vios, you feel the difference. You feel that yardstick that we talk about in a vehicle, that it's built to a different standard. Not necessarily a different standard in terms of construction, but in terms of the feel. The feel of the vehicle, the plastics feel a little different. The ride feels a little different, which, by the way, the ride is actually really good. But the steering is different. The way they do the engines is different. Even the way the shifter, when it notches into the PRND and all that, it feels a bit more, let's say, I wouldn't say positive, but it just it slots into there with a little bit of play. That's just something to be expected in this budget car class. That you're not gonna get the Vios level, or at least the Vios we know it now in the Philippines. In the next generation Vios, you might feel that because in the next generation Vios, the D90 or the D100 or something like that they call it, the standard by which they build that's already a DNGA product, meaning a similar kind of platform to this one. And when you compare those platforms, when you compare how a Toyota product is like with the current one to a Daihatsu product, well, yeah, you're gonna see and feel that difference. But I'm rambling on. Where do I stand on the Wigo? Well, back to the warehouse, and let's talk about that a little bit. And mind you, these roads, this is what the Wigo is made for. Like tight city streets, you can maneuver around, and you can have some fun with it, get home easily. And even if you have oncoming traffic, which this road has a almost uncanny ability to really get jammed up because of how narrow it is, the Wigo feels right at home. Oh look, a Vios. The second generation Toyota Wigo ticks a lot of the important boxes that people look for in a new car. The styling, better. The interior, better. Comfort, better. Fuel economy, definitely better overall. There are still going to be some things, some caveats with a vehicle like this, particularly with vibrations and noise and the like. But again, in this price point of car, you're not expecting that kind of refinement just yet. But speaking of price, now when we reviewed the Wigo a long time ago, the first ones in 2014, they were around 448,000 starting. Well, the Wigo now, it starts at 609,000. So yeah, you can see the inflation with this car. And this version in particular, it tops at around 739 thereabouts. So keep that in mind. The inflation, yeah, you really can see it with a lot of cars nowadays. Does the second generation Wigo take its rightful place as one of the best in the class, particularly when it comes to value? I think yes. That's why we picked it as our best value pick for under 999K at our recently concluded editor's picks. And you can easily see why. But there is something that I think needs to be addressed and talked about. And that is Toyota has to restore the trust that people have with their Daihatsu-made vehicles. Because there are a lot of issues right now going on with the vehicles built over in Indonesia, particularly when it comes to welding and the structure and all that. So far, the Wigo is not included in any of those recalls, but still, it's not really doing well for the Daihatsu name for those issues to come out, and I'm sure they will sort it all out in time. Now, let me know, guys, in the comments below what you think about the new generation Toyota Wigo. Is it worth your time and money? Well, that's going to be an important question for you to answer. This is Vince of AutoIndustriya.com. Now, let's go make Sing It sa traffic outside kasi got a perfect car for it.